So, how does it feel? Semi-finals of the World Cup for England, for Croatia as well. And it was a strange game because at the stadium, it felt that England were in total control for most of the game, for the whole game really, from the beginning. It was the game that, England decided what kind of game it was going to be. But I looked at the bench when the game finished, and they just walked into the pitch calmly. And then later on, when they came into the mix zone, some of the players didn't want to talk. As if they'd been to the semi-finals of the World Cup before. I don't know, it was strange. Most of them stopped, and most of them shared their time with the media, and that is something that it is helping. It is helping because it takes away one of the pressures, but generally you get to know exactly what's happened. So I spoke to John Stones, to Pickford as well. That comes later. But first, I wanted to just tell you a couple of things that straight away got into my head at the end of that game. As I said, England were in total control, and the game management was absolutely fantastic. And that's one of the things that set pieces have been crucial, no doubt about it. Their organisation as well, the fact that there's always 5 or 6 players behind the ball, and when they lose the ball, they just, hound the rival, they run to get it back, they fight for it. All that, it's absolutely crucial, but the game management, the fact that everything that was thrown to them, they've been able to react to, that again was proven today to be so important against Sweden. A Swedish side that was disappointing, but you have to play whoever you've got in front of you. And I said there's still things for England to improve, and we'll touch on that a little bit later, but you have to say that it is something to celebrate. The fact that it was unexpected has made the likes of Chris Waddle quite emotional. Listen to the World Cup podcast from 5 Live, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Interestingly enough, 7 players that are in the semi-finals have played for Spurs. 7 players, or play for Spurs. 7 players play for City, and I think United as well, Manchester United. So I hope nobody ever mentions again this rubbish story about the winter break, which has been used as an excuse for a long, long time. It's about understanding of the game. It's about being properly coached. It's about reinforcing your virtues and hiding your weaknesses. And that's exactly what England have done. I wrote it in my piece for AS, that's exactly one of the things that Southwest has managed to do. What are we good at? Set pieces, let's work on them, even more than usual. And what are the weaknesses? Well, the fluidity of the front men is still not at its best. And that's partly down to 3 players who are playing out of position, and one that doesn't normally play like this in his team. So Dele Alli plays a little bit deeper and surrounded by players where normally he's just got Kane in front of him. Kane has got Sterling next to him. It's not usual either. Sterling plays in a position almost like a fixed or 9, but a fixed 10 as well in that area. Fixed 9 or 10 doesn't work. But what I mean is he plays centrally, doesn't normally go that much wide, and that's where he has to influence the game, not his position. Lingard is doing well with what he's been given. Fantastic pass without even stopping the ball. He came from Trippier and he just put it in at the first go, and of course Dele Alli coming from deep. That is what he's good at. That was for the second goal. Set pieces, for the first one. That doesn't work at the moment as well as it should, and that has been mentioned by Gareth Southgate. That's another thing that is new. He just doesn't have any problems mentioning the things that have not worked. He also points out things that should never be forgotten amongst the euphoria of getting to semi-finals of the World Cup and maybe even a final. The fact that 33% of players are English in the Premier League, that has to be improved. You have to trust the English players because you always knew that you can take them to war, that they're going to give you absolutely everything. But now there is more and more players that have been coached by a highest caliber managers, coaches. And that's the other thing that I wanted to say from this English side. 18 players have been managed by Pep Guardiola, Jose Mourinho, Klopp or Ranieri and Pochettino. So these are coaches, more than managers, coaches that like to correct and improve things. And on the fact that England is benefiting from the strongest league in the world in terms of coaches, is what I spoke to John Stones about. Also listen until the end if you can of the John Stones conversation, because he gives for the first time ever an answer in Spanish. You're so strong.
Yeah.
The team is.
Yeah.
Everything that's been thrown to you is like, we can handle this.
Yeah.
Did you know you had that in you?
I think until you play in difficult situations, like conceding late against Colombia, it kind of comes out and you realise that you've got it as a team. Until you're thrown into those situations, you can always believe that you've got it, but
right.
until you see it, you don't really believe it, if that makes sense.
And then when that happens, you can look around and everybody you can trust. You can give the ball to. I mean, there are times when teams just go one way because they know that what is better.
Yeah.
All that is gone, isn't it? It's just, you know you're going to get the ball back and properly and all those things. It's like trust throughout the team is amazing.
No, we've said from the start that we want to stick to our game plan and stick to how we play and our style of play. And I think that's come from a lot of the teams that back at the club football, obviously instilled that in me, Kyle, Raheem and Delphi. And it's a great way. We've seen the results from playing that way, and never giving up, always staying persistent with how we should play. And we've found out over these 2 years leading up to the World Cup that we've got the quality to play football. All great athletes, a lot of speed up in forward positions, and to trust in our ability and be persistent with those things.
18 of your teammates, including you, have been under either Pep Guardiola or Jose Mourinho, Pochettino, Ranieri, Klopp. So that's
some good managers.
But of course, most of you have come through academies. So where is the influence?
For me, was at Barnsley. You'll probably laugh. My coaches loved Barcelona. Wanted us to try and play like them, and kind of gave us that philosophy of playing.
Who was that?
Mark Burton and Ronnie Branson.
Okay.
Both from Barnsley, Yorkshiremen, and have had that dream, and they gave it to us. And I had a great youth team, so we tried playing out from the back, and it's kind of gone from there really.
And you sense it, doesn't it? It's not just like that you play it that way because you're told to. That's what you really believe in.
Yeah, 100%. I think from a young age, age of 18, you could see that football was changing from the old school, English football, long ball. And I believe it was changing for the better, and we had to be good at that and be good technical players. As a kid looking at the Spanish league and a lot of the foreign leagues, everyone was good, technically gifted players, and I wanted to be a part of that as well, technically gifted. And I know I'm not as gifted as some people, but I always wanted to be and try and play football in that respect and change the English game, because I thought it was the best way, the way that I was brought up watching. Loved watching that football, and I watched Pep's teams for years and loved how they played, and they reaped the rewards of it because they won a lot of trophies.
The last two. So Pep Guardiola will just look after every single detail of your training and will correct you all the time.
Yeah.
What does Gareth Southgate do with the little time he's got with you?
I think that's where it comes down to the 2 years. We knew it was going to be a process, and it wasn't going to click like that. And it's still a process now. We've got a lot of things to improve on, individually and as a team. But that's the exciting part of it. But it's credit to the manager. We meet up for 10 days maybe every international duty, and try and maximise as much time on the training pitch that we can, and without overcomplicating it. You try and throw everything into one session, and we've got to work at this. It was step by step, and I think that's why we've got ourselves here today.
Finally, tu español de puta madre. ¿Y eso por qué?
Hoy es fenomenal para mí, y how do you say teammates?
Compañeros.
Compañeros, es muy especial para mí, mi familia, y todo en casa, en Inglaterra.
De fiesta.
Sí. I don't know what to say anymore. I'm speechless.
Right.
Is this okay?
Spanish.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Gracias.
Okay. Good to see you. Thanks.
I think he was trying to share that this was important for him, for his family, that everybody will be celebrating in England. That's what he's saying in Spanish. But the fact that he even tried was fantastic. I really appreciate it. Thank you, John. What else do I want to say? So yeah, the other thing that makes England calm is the fact that they have done their homework. They go into the pitch with information about the rivals. They know where they could be damaged in terms of defensively, but they know where to damage them as well. The fact that they come into the pitch confident because they know they know what's going to happen, and also the fact that they've been told in previous games, and it does happen. Those things give, in the eyes of the players, make the coach, the manager, somebody that you can trust fully. So that's definitely is happening with England as well. And as always, generally in the media, but also in the eyes of many fans, the way they analyse things, they look for a villain, and Sterling still found as the villain. And I find that very unfair because of what I said earlier. He's not playing in his position, but he stretches the defences, no doubt about it. Yes, he had chances that he should have converted, but nobody's telling me that Rashford will definitely convert them. Nobody. And in fact, he should play the semi-finals, Sterling, because he's absolutely essential for England in the way England plays. He has an extra pace that Dele Alli, Lingard, Kane don't even have. I mean, Raymond Domenech, the former French national coach, did mention in his tweet during the game that the one to look for, the one that les Anglais, the English people should look after, it's Sterling, because he has that extra pace that is so important at this stage. Sterling is the kind of tournament in which players, England, have been shutting mouths up. I think Courtois didn't mean what he said, but of course he was used to motivate Pickford, and he's shown to be a very important clock in this machine of England. Maguire, I doubted of his pace, but not of his quality with the ball. Well, he's actually been immense in both boxes, as Gareth Southgate mentioned, so on and so forth. Basically, England, everything that I said, that if it gets thrown to them, they know how to deal with it. Sterling, this could be the one in which he scores a crucial goal that takes England to the final, and then what? So we'll have to see. What else in my notes? Yes. I tried to find out, because I saw Pickford being so strong mentally and saying, just bring it to me. I'm able to save whatever it's thrown in my direction, be it low, be it high, being close up, being far. And I wanted to find out if there was, for somebody who'd been in 6 loan deals before actually getting to the Premier League, if I'm not mistaken, he must have been told a lot of times, you're not good enough. So I asked him that. I asked him if he remembered that, and if that possibly, the question was to see if actually that was a source of motivation. But the surprise answer was this. You're too short, or you're not fast enough, or you're not big enough, or you're not whatever enough.
I don't know, can't remember. I think all goalkeepers have their own strengths and their own weaknesses, what you can learn and get better on. But it's how. adapt what I know what I'm good at. I know what I can do to make saves, if you know what I mean. So it doesn't really matter as long as you know in yourself how good you can be and how you make them saves.
But were you coached with the ability to pass the ball, or with the kind of stature that you have now?
Yeah, at Sunderland, I always would do joining the possessions and stuff, and Kevin Ball always said I could play outfield if I wanted to.
Right.
Yeah, but
have you ever done that?
Yeah, I used to play outfield for my school and score a few worldies. But like I say, like you've under 15s, and that, if I had to play out, I'd hold my hand up first and try and get outfield. But yeah, it's about being able to play with your feet, and it's all adapting, and it's enjoyable when it comes off.
Last one. At a time like today, you qualified to the semi-finals of the World Cup. Is there any coach you want to think of? You want to give a little homage to somebody that's given you something extra?
Yeah, there's always is in every interview. There's two. There's Mark Prudhoe and Kevin Ball, who are at Sunderland, who they've not only helped us to become a better keeper and become the keeper I can be. They've obviously like matured us into a better person, and that's what it was all about when we were growing up at youth team level. But yeah, Mark Prudhoe and Kevin Ball.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
I thought that this is the kind of opportunities that players have to give a little homage to the people that have helped them to go to the top, and this is normally people that have believed in them, have had faith in them. One of the lessons of this World Cup is just that these are guys, a lot of them, who have been in the lower ranks, in the lower divisions, but there was somebody that believed in them. Maguire was in League One. As I said, 6 loan deals for Pickford, and you can just go and see so many other players that haven't gone up the usual ways. You know the story of Vardy and others. Anyway, that was hence my question to Pickford. Finally, let's talk a little bit about Croatia, because they started really well the World Cup. Now they're finding it difficult to get to the rhythm and to the domination and of the first few games, and to convert possession into chances. It's not happening for them. I think against Denmark, it was Rakitic who complained or mentioned that Denmark were 1 or 2 gears more, and they kept going while Croatia was struggling, especially at the end. And now they have added 30 more minutes to their legs, so that gives even more for those that thought that England were definitely going to go through the final. I had my doubts because I believe Croatia have got more quality from in the midfield anyway, in the creative part of the pitch. But England have actively rested a little bit against Sweden. The fact that they actually didn't have to go to extra time, or with such a tension that really tires you out. The fact that they didn't need to do that gives them a little bit of an advantage. So I see right now England a little bit more favourites against Croatia. Croatia, a team that knows how to manage games, that have got in Mandzukic, a warrior as well in Rakitic, and Modric. Modric, for me, depending what happens on the semi-finals, the man of the tournament. Has been fantastic in the way he's controlled games, the way he works without a ball, helped by Rakitic next to him. Rebic, there is so much that you can take from that side. A side that has been into more semi-finals than Spain, and is a country that was only born in 1991. So that tells you everything in terms of how they compete. Well, they had gone to another penalty shootout, same as with Denmark. So they have been working until the last minute for 2 hours of football in 2 games. So yes, England have got certain advantage there. We'll have time to talk about the semi-finals anyway, but I just thought I'll give you all this before I go to bed, because it's very late here. It's about 4 o'clock in the morning. Typical thing that happens in the World Cup. Decided to go to Samara, to the city centre after the game, drop the stuff in the hotel here, and then I got an Uber to take me there. Looking for England fans to just have a laugh and a beer. I don't know where they were. I couldn't find them. So I ended up in a Russian restaurant and watched the Croatia game with them. And it was interesting because in the penalty shootouts, everybody was so excited, of course, on that goal right at the end of extra time. The excitement was reached very, very high levels. But when the penalty shootout finished, they all were like, oh, got up and went and started walking. So I just walked behind them because I knew I wasn't going to get a taxi, and started walking, and everyone was walking very quietly. Some Russia chanting, but not depressed. I mean, I think they are happy with the performance of the team and what they've done, much more than they expected. And by the sounds of it, it has changed a little bit what we thought of Russian people and of Russia, but also about themselves. They've been celebrating in the streets, something that is not common here or appreciated by authorities. And they've identified a national team that has worked really, really hard, and that's what they demanded of them. But they're also, that they've gone further than they could. I was going to say that they're better than they thought. They're not that terribly good, but it's just they're giving absolutely everything. And I think the fans were disappointed, of course, but not terribly so, because it has been a good ride for them. They just expect that all this good feeling that the World Cup creates in football will continue. That's their wish, of course. Anyway, I kept walking because I was going on my Uber and there was no taxis. So 2 hours later, still no taxis. Decided to go into a bar, have one drink, and then invited when the bar closed, invited the chef to take me to the hotel, which was 3 hours walk or about 20 minutes by car. So he did. So there you are. Good ending, but by 4 o'clock. Anyway, I'll leave you with all this. Now I have to find a good spot for Wi-Fi, because Wi-Fi is not great here, but eventually it'll get into the hands of the people that work with me with a YouTube channel, and it'll be with you as soon as possible. Don't forget, subscribe. There'll be more coming through the World Cup, then a bit of holidays, and after that, expect more for next season. But there'll be time to talk about that as well. Bye. Good night.